What's going on, guys? I am Justin, coming to you from Interstate Twin, and I'm going to start doing some videos here. I keep being told that I should do videos. I've done the short ones for Instagram, the reels and whatnot, which ends up on our Facebook and shit like that. So, but I was told to do more. I don't know why. Apparently I'm entertaining. But I figured this video is probably going to be the shittiest video, but it's going to give you more insight to me. That way when you come in the door, you're not like, why isn't this guy kissing my ass like the local dealer does? Why isn't, or the guy down the street, I'm kind of dry. I'll figure out whether or not I even want to deal with you before we even start any projects. Luckily, we've built it up to where we can make that decision ahead of time. Sometimes we don't figure that out right away and we learn later, but okay, so this video, like I said, is probably gonna be the most boring video, but it'll give you some insight. Low quality, not a lot of editing, just rambling. I normally try to keep the videos short because of the other platforms. Now we're gonna do YouTube videos so I can and think and fucking recall shit, and I don't have to do a whole new video. All right, so about me. I grew up northeastern Pennsylvania, Pocono Mountains, so riding motorcycles and all that stuff was seasonal, but we always were with something that had burning gas, we were on it. I was on the side of a ski resort, so basically when the snow melted, we'd have cars and Jeeps and shit that we drove up and down, ski slopes. So always something that was burning gas. That was my social circle, and those are all the friends that I had. That's how I grew up most of my life up until 2006. I did do some school. I actually never really attended a class, but I moved to go to NTI, which is NASCAR Technical Institute in Mooresville, North Carolina. That ended up being a complete freaking joke. The way they staggered the classes were basically your dummy classes, and you paid as you went. You paid for classes like you would with school. So once you were so far invested, and then there was like the last 4 classes were like the super hard electrical diagnostic shit, and everyone would fail, but they were so financially invested that they just, they would fail electronics. We'll call it electronics 1. They'd fail electronics 1 4 or 5 times till they got to electronics 2. They'd fail 4 or 5 times, get to 3, fail at 6 or 7, until they finally got certified. And I like to be in the know, so I like to ask questions. So I asked some of the guys, like, any of these guys make it? Do they end up on a team? They tell you these stories about people who ended up on NASCAR teams, and they shit like that. And it's like a select few that do. So we went there. We realized that it was a joke. We came back. I ended up getting my CDL when I was 20 years old. So I stayed within that vicinity of guys that was just kind of guys, just, you could talk boats, cars, bikes, stuff like that. And I want to say it was 2006, I moved down for a short period of time down to Florida. And I ended up moving back due to a friend of mine passing away. And when I moved back up, trucking job, I couldn't find trucking jobs. So I was like, I thought I could be a service rider. I had a pretty good understanding of mechanics and whatnot, and I could definitely be a service rider. I wasn't an ASE certified mechanic or anything, but I could, do service riding. And those guys did pretty well because I was a detailer at the dealer that I applied to when I was in high school. So I ended up getting one of the guys that I used to detail for. Is super cool guy. He was kind of a mentor growing up. Actually, 2 of them, they said, they apply for sales. We'll help you out. It's like it's easy. It's easy. Just we'll put you under our wing. We'll help you out. So this guy, CJ and Junior, who kind of took me under their wing, and I ended up selling cars. And I'm this guy who's kind of like, I've got this very small social circle, and that's not necessarily just my group was small, but there's people that like cars and whatnot. The thing with sales is when Mr. or Mrs. Smith come in, they don't give a shit about horsepower, this, that, and everything. and you can talk yourself right out of a deal. But it was good because it gave me, Mr. and Mrs. Smith could be millionaires, and I was able to talk to everybody at that point in time. By the time I was done with that part of my life, selling cars and whatnot, I could talk to just about anybody. I met a lot of cool people. I met guys. I had a guy that was an insurance agent, actually cut my insurance premium in half. I had a lead foot, obviously, like some of the people who are watching this video. So sold cars, kind of became a little bit more personable, we'll call it that. And when I moved down to Florida in 2011, that was my second time back, I started a trucking company hauling cars, which is what my dad has done for the past almost 40 years now. I was local. I got home every night. I worked long hours. It was 12, 14, sometimes longer. Sometimes I slept in the truck. It was all over the place, but the money was insanely good. There was no electronic logs at this time. There was no real restrictions. I had a really good running truck that was had just been the engine was redone. It was uncomfortable, but it ran real good. Never gave me any problems, and ended up trying to expand the business and ended up buying a truck for myself. You know what? I work really fucking hard. I want something nice. So I got this badass Viper Blue Pearl semi. It was a Western Star. Wish it was a Pete, but it wasn't. It was a Western Star. But it had chrome side pipes. It had a rack on the top so I could fit a car, which I could use my trailer. It was a badass looking ride, but it was a piece of shit. Transmission went, and I was 15. The freaking EGR would go all the time. The thing was always fucking breaking down. The differentials were fucked. Everything was fucked on this truck. So this basically crippled me and then left me stagnant for like a year and a half while I had this thing. I ended up buying it for 70. I put about 70 into it and ended up selling it for 30 and still having to come out of pocket 10 grand just to get rid of the note. Then I went back to the truck that I had somebody hired in. Luckily, this guy stuck around long enough for me to be able to, it wasn't like he got fired. He was getting a job that had, wasn't like 1099 or anything like that. He was able to, he got into some military base or something like that. Anyway, this is what I was saying about the rambling. Too many details. Anyway, I did that for a while, and still stuff breaks, and you get sick of it. And I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to sell all this shit. We had a pretty good president at the time. The economy was really good. I said, I got to get in on some of this 401k retirement shit. After 10 years of beating the shit out of yourself, you start thinking about that stuff. So I ended up at a couple different places. I went to a food distributor, which is how I got my CDL back when I was 20. And then I went and got a job at Cisco, which is the biggest food distributor, and I was killing it. I had the route nobody wanted. I worked 7 days a week when I had my own business, so it was no big deal to work nights. None of these guys wanted nights, and this was a union setup, so I'm the bottom man, and there's a nighttime route available, so I write my name and I get this bit. So now I'm not a jumper, and if anybody knows what a jumper is, it's basically you don't know what the fuck you're doing tomorrow. You could have a hell day, which you normally did, because if there was a light run, somebody senior would take it. If you're the bottom guy, you're having hell day. Well, I was locked in on this route. I knew what I was doing every night. Problem was I was working nights, but it wasn't a problem because I was used to it. When you're working nights anyway, going and getting cars, either getting cars in 90-degree weather, walking to get them, driving them in a hot car, driving it back to the truck, and getting out, walking again, it was no big deal for me. So I'm there 93 days, I get laid off, COVID hits. I meet with the union rep, fill out the card. I want to say I was tracking over $100,000 working for them within the 3 months. If I would have stayed, which I would have, because it was the same thing every night, I would have been over $100,000 for the first year. I got laid off 92nd, 93rd day, met with the union rep at a gas station one morning, filled out my cards, and he goes, they have to call you before they call anybody else, but we don't know when they're going to start hiring back. And I was just the bottom guy. I want to say they had half of the guys laid off during that, but that is what happened. We all know it's fucking still stupid. But so me getting into this. So when I was hauling cars and doing stuff like that, my therapy was the motorcycle stuff. It was riding, and then for some reason I like to find these $2,000 bikes and $3,000, $4,000 bikes, and just for some reason I'll fucking call it a gift of making things look ridiculously good on a budget. Now, I never took my time into consideration. So my labor, for all I know, some of these jobs could have been $10 an hour, but it was the knowledge I got. I mean, I've dealt with just about everything. I had bikes I thought would be easy fixes, and they were nightmares. I only made $500 off them, but the amount of knowledge I got from that. So I did that for several years, and that's how I found this shop. Was I had an issue with one, and the guy was the only one who really stayed on the phone with me and said, well, did you check this? Did you check that? Did you check this? And it was a fuel-injected bike. It ended up being something inside the tank. I had redone the tank, and I think I waffled the fuel pressure regulator when I put it in, and it was allowing it to spray out the sides. He was like, well, check your pressure coming out of your tank. So I checked it, and of course it was 30. It should be high 50s, low 60s, and I knew what the problem was. I had to open up the tank. Well, I had just done everything, so I didn't think I had to go back there. I didn't double check. Anyway, he kind of got my business from there on after that. Anything I didn't want to do, I wasn't comfortable doing, I would bring it here and he would do it for me. Moving forward, years later, back to COVID, I'm hanging out here at the shop because these guys are cool. They're essential because they fix automotive stuff. And what really changed was, here in Florida, it's fucking crazy. If you're not from Florida, it's nuts. It's like hurricanes come and people have parties, and COVID hit and everyone was on with their fucking boats tying up at sandbars. It was nuts. So the sheriff's department came in, squashed all that. You guys have to be separated. And what they ended up doing, because everybody, I mean, you can't control that many people. There's the compressor. They ended up locking the boat ramps. So if you were in the water, you were good. If you weren't in the water, you were done. You couldn't get in the water. So there's people down here that didn't really, I mean, it was like the Wild Wild West. You've seen it on TV. If you live here, you know we've never really stopped living down here. We had some restrictions with masks and whatnot. So you had guys coming into the shop. I was just hanging out with these guys because there was nowhere else to go. I was laid off. My girl was laid off. She was doing some freelance work. And people just started coming in. I mean, double, triple the amount of people that would usually be here. Hey, I've got this bike. It's been sitting in my garage, and you know, I don't know what it needs. Can you get it running? They locked the boat, and the boat ramp story I heard so many times is like, man, these people really need something to do. So I ended up helping this guy out. He had 2 lifts at the time. We're up to 4. He left me with 1. I acquired the other 3, but you know, he couldn't get them on and off fast enough. And you're talking, all these bikes needed new batteries, carburetors cleaned out, some of the fuel injection stuff we got lucky with, new tires, stuff like that. I mean, it was like your basic, the thing just sat there in the garage for a while and there was nothing else they could do. Hey, can you get my bike running? So I was helping him out with that, and through that comes a conversation of, hey, you know, if you like doing this stuff that much, you should buy me out when I retire. So I said, well, when are you going to retire? He says, in about a year. So we're in 2020, the early part of 2020, and towards the end of 2020, maybe even early 2021, we start having the conversation about buying the place. And everything, you know, goes according to plan. We end up here. Shop was completely different. I'll do another video one time. Maybe I'll do it right after this one and just upload it at a different time. I don't know. Of the shop, what was different, what we did, how much time it took, and I don't know, other shit that we're doing. I'm trying to think of what else to say, but that's how we acquired the shop. We've done pretty good. Like I said, we were able to kind of feel somebody out. Somebody comes in, they've got an attitude problem. I'm not your fucking guy. I would flat out tell you I'm not interested. Yeah, I'm not interested in working on your bike. And some people get offended. Some people, you know, there's certain stuff that there's a lot of stuff I don't want to touch either. It's just not my forte. There's other people around here that I've never had a problem. All the other shops that are around here have helped me out before I was in this position, so I can't say anything bad about any of the other shops around here. I just know the guys are older. They've been doing it for a long time, and at one point in time there was, a lot of bike shops here in South Florida. So the guys that stuck it out through that 2006 and the fall and all that shit, those are the guys that, there's a lot of them are still around. Aside from that, this was just something that, kind of fell into my lap. So what I do want to say from this video is I was making big boy money when I was 20 years old, and big boy money at that time where I lived, the pay was $45,000. I was living with my parents. I was $45,000 plus bonuses. I was still living at home with my parents, 20 years old. I had plenty of money at that time. I didn't have a social life. I had to go to bed at freaking 9 o'clock at night to wake up at 4 in the morning and go push a hand truck around. But for people who are younger who are watching this, just if you've got, it's almost like a second shot at life. Me being able to wake up and do this now for the past year and meet so many cool people and work on their shit and build badass shit for them and stuff like that. I think 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I was sitting in a truck fucking hoping to God it didn't break down, trying to figure out how I was going to put tires on it, and people cutting me off. It's like trying to get to bed fast enough so that I could wake up early enough to miss the traffic that would fucking, if you hit it, you were fucked for the day. It would put you an hour, 2 hours behind. It's just like, now I come in here, just do whatever I want. If you have, and it's something that I enjoy doing, and that's the key thing, I wake up happy every day. If you have something that you enjoy doing, they say don't make your hobby your job. I have to disagree with that. You cannot take it too seriously. You cannot put yourself in a position to feel pressure that you have to make money, that you have to do this, you have to do that. When we started this place, when we took over this place, it was every last cent. We were fucked, and for days it was like, what the fuck is going on? There's nothing, what. I'm sitting here with a roller, just rolling walls. I'm here at 10 o'clock at night, rolling the walls, marking out the fucking stripe, doing all this shit, and slowly word started spreading, and we advertised maybe a handful of times since we bought the place, and it just progressively picked up. But you won't enjoy what you do. If I wasn't in this position, if I was bad, I would be in that position. But I think I've done right by people, so the ability to pick and choose what I want to do and not be stressed out, like I got to take every job, and I've got to get it done, and I need the money, that's when it's not fun anymore. So that's when your hobby, you don't make your hobby your job. If your hobby does not make you money, then your hobby should not be your job. But if you're young and you have something that interests you and you enjoy, you go for it. 100%, there's no way in hell that I would have gone to school, even if it was for motorcycles. I would have gone to school, graduated from a technical institute, gone to work for a dealer, like I would have been happy, because I've done classes. One thing I will say, I guess I'll just make it personal. I'm always hiring my own education. Elon Musk said it. Everything that you possibly want to know or learn is on the internet for you to learn. You just have to decipher who's full of shit, who's written this thing full of shit, or like you can get PDF files for the Harley book. The Harley book is the Harley book. But then there's also videos. There's a lot of informative people on YouTube, and there's also a lot of fucking people, you're like, holy shit. And then you scroll through comments, like no one's calling this guy out on this complete bullshit. but you can learn just about anything you want to learn. The biggest thing for me with this shop was learning how to charge people for the jobs. I only was ever used to, I bought the bike for $1,000, I'm $1,000 into it, I want to get 5 out of it. And that gives me room to negotiate. When someone offers 4, I doubled. Like I said, I never really took my labor into consideration. It was just how much I wanted to make off of it. For me, it was the experience of taking a turd and making it nice. But yeah, if you have something that you have a way of having something you enjoy doing every day, is fucking, it's changes your life. I literally feel like I have I've started a whole new life, and this is like the part that I get to enjoy after, you know, busting my ass for so many years and you know, holding a steering wheel in a truck and fucking loading cars and destroying my joints, strapping them down and stuff like that. But yeah, so anyway, that'll, I guess, finish up. There's something else I wanted to say and I can't remember. And this is where fucking maybe I'll learn to cut it here and then come back and learn to edit shit, because my scatterbrain. But oh yeah, there's no way in hell I would have been happy. I always try to hire and educate. I'll be reading up on something every night and all that stuff. I've gone to classes, and I go to these classes and to get the knowledge and certification and get better at something. And all the time I see these guys who work for dealers and they are fucking miserable. It's like the one guy I'll like never forget. He was like, he goes, oh, it's a bunch of petty assholes at the dealer I work at. Like, you leave your fucking blue Loctite on your toolbox, it's fucking gone in 5 minutes. It's like, you can't even go take a piss, like, and they'll steal your shit. And I'm like, man, I'd have never worked out there. I'd be doing this video from a fucking prison cell. Somebody that petty, they need their ass kicked. But also a different generation. These guys my age probably are not furthering their education. They probably got the easier jobs and whatnot over at dealers. I don't know how it works, but there's no way I would have been happy doing it that way. And the other thing is, start a fucking business. Even if you go fucking, if you're 21, 22 and you go fucking broke, do something that'll make you happy. Blow your money and your credit on doing something like that, because you can always fucking rebuild it. You can always get a job. You can always make money again, versus going out and getting fucking bottles and shit. And I fucking did all that too. When I was making tons of money driving a truck, I'd fucking leave and go sleep in a car and wake up, and it was, you know, as long as I didn't have to drive, I fucking bought everything. That way I wouldn't lose my CDL and I wouldn't lose my means of making money. But yeah, if you're young, and I did enjoy driving a truck for a while. There's something cool about just shifting through all these gears. If it's like 2 a.m., there's no one else on the road, that shit is awesome. And that's probably the only part of it I miss. 90% of it sucks because of the people on the road and the mentality they have and their distractions. But more videos I'll be doing. Fucking 24 minutes in this fucking video. Do a tour of the shop, talk about some of the stuff I work on, some of the stuff I don't, and then I guess I'll just do it as projects or something. I don't know how the fuck this channel's gonna go, but anyway, this is me. This is the person you get to deal with when you come in. I say fuck a lot, and I might not want to work on your shit if you're a dick. So lose your attitude when you walk in the fucking door. That's it. I'm not gonna have you like, subscribe if you fucking know all that shit already. And if you want to see what the hell's going on here for whatever reason, or what kind of bullshit I'm dealing with. But aside from that, everybody have a good week. I don't even know when I'm going to upload this. Maybe I'll do it over the weekend. Have a good weekend. All right.